Hey there. If you have ever found yourself Googling, how does Pinterest marketing even work? Or wondering why your pins aren't bringing in traffic, then this video is for you. Today, I am answering the most common Pinterest marketing questions that I get asked all in one place. And then I'll be able to take this video and share it every time I get one of these questions. So grab your favorite beverage, coffee, tea, like I like to drink, or tequila or champagne. I am not judging you. You do you. But let's go ahead and get into it. In no particular order, just rapid fire Pinterest wisdom straight from my inbox and my DMs, as well as my students. Let's go. Question number one. Is Pinterest a social media platform? I talk about this in every single presentation I give to a group or in a speaking engagement because this is something that I always hear. So the short answer is nope, it is not social media. Pinterest, as like Pinterest likes to say, is a virtual search engine. I like to think of it as a search marketing platform. Think Google and YouTube, which are also search marketing platforms. So, what's interesting is that Google owns YouTube. So, they kind of have cornered that market, but Pinterest is still over here as the third search marketing platform for you. And what does a search marketing platform mean? Well, it's designed for discovery, not for social engagement. You can be social on there, but the whole goal is to provide answers and inspiration and good content for all of the people that are searching out there. And just FYI, if you search on Google, you're going to pull up YouTube and you're going to pull up Pinterest options. So they don't have to just search on Pinterest to find you. If they search on Google, these pins and your boards and your profile are going to pop up. And what this means for you before I dive into all of the details is that you have visibility for your business. Being on Pinterest also allows you to get more visible. When someone that you want to work with goes and searches on Google for your business name or your name, you have a plethora of content that comes up. Now, Google Analytics considers it a social media platform because it's ranked in there with all the other platforms that lead people to your website when you're looking at the analytics to see what's working and what's not working. And if you don't, you should. So go get yourself a Google Analytics account. But your content on Pinterest has a much longer shelf life compared to platforms like Instagram or TikTok. We're talking months and oftentimes, at least in my business, years of ongoing traffic from a single pin. I have some pins in my top 10 pins each month that are from 6 and 7 and just this month 8 years ago. It's kind of embarrassing my content back then, but it's still driving traffic to me from the short period of time that it took me to add those pins 8 years ago. Traffic is still coming to my website because of it, it's such a blessing. Where when you post on TikTok, that post is pretty much done and over with in minutes. And with Instagram, I think it's like 46 hours or something like that. So the fact that you post something, and I will be honest, most of my students, most of the people that are in my DMs and in my email spend the majority of their marketing time on Instagram. But Instagram content is going away. Like it's going away almost as soon as you've posted it. This is why I want everyone to spend even an hour a week only on doing Pinterest work because it's going to give you years of traffic following, and that's super important. Question number two, how long does it take to see results on Pinterest? If I had $1 for every time someone asked me that question, I would be a millionaire or a billionaire, maybe. So this question I get probably a few times a week, every single week. You can start seeing traction anywhere from, and this is a a generality. This is not gospel. I don't want you to depend on this. And if you're looking and watching my video right now and it's 2 years old, it could be old by that point. So make sure you go to some of my newer content. But it's about 6 weeks to 6 months for the pins to get into the system and start really generating some traffic. Depending on your niche, of course, it could take longer or it could be shorter. And most importantly, how consistent are you with pinning on Pinterest? Do you have pins going out every day, or do they go out a few times this week and then not again until next month? Then that's going to be way, 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 way longer. Pinterest is a long game platform, very much like blogging is. But trust me, when the traffic starts to flow, it will be so worth the wait. And I will have to say on this question that I get a lot, it is so important that you check your analytics monthly. And the reason why I say that is because then you can see what's doing well, what's maybe not doing so well, the things that are doing well. You can create more pins for that content because you already know that it's resonating this month because people are actually clicking on them. Make more pins about that piece of content that is doing so well. So you can increase the traffic just by looking at your analytics. Question number 3, how often should I pin? Oh my gosh, this question. I get this all the time. And there is no magic number. I used to have a number that I would say that you need to have this many pins going out a day. And I don't say that anymore because I have Pinterest management clients as well as students that see different results. I have one client and she only pins one pin every day, and she has a tremendous amount of traffic coming to her website, like 30,000 visits a month. And that's with one pin a day. I have another client that pins 5 times a day, and she's getting like 10,000 visits, right? Your niche has a lot to do with it. The designs of the pins, the images matching what's on your blog, the words that you use on your blog matching on the pin. Like there is so many more details. It's not about the number. So what I like to say to people who are first starting to do Pinterest marketing in their business is to start with one pin a day. One pin a day is doable. And once you start building up that queue of pins, if you use Tailwind, because that makes it like 5 times faster to do this process. There is a free plan. It's very limited, but it is free. And I will go ahead and put that link down below. But start with one pin and see what happens. And know that if you have one pin a day and you're getting good traffic and you want more traffic, you can increase that maybe to 2 pins a day. I just don't think it's smart to go out and say, start with 5 pins a day. And then you're basically all you're doing each week is working on Pinterest, because that's not going to help your business. You want to do all of your marketing with your emails, with your blogging, all the things. So start with 1 pin a day and take it from there. I also don't recommend, unless you're in a very specific niche, like, I don't know. I just don't think I would recommend more than 30 pins a day. Bloggers will typically do a lot of pins like this, but honestly, most businesses don't need anywhere near that. So focus on showing up regularly with fresh, knowledgeable, keyword optimized, super helpful content, and that will totally help you. Question number 4. What does pinning consistently actually mean? This is a great question, and it makes me so happy that people do ask this all the time, because it means that they're actively working on Pinterest marketing for their business, right? So what does it mean to be active daily? Sharing valuable content for your audience so you can upload pins manually using Pinterest Scheduler, which is totally free. So the cost should not be a barrier for you starting to use Pinterest marketing in your business. You can use a tool like Tailwind, which is my favorite. And of course, the link will be down below so that you can batch schedule. My clients who use that tend to put in maybe an hour or 1 or 2 hours a week, and that fills up their content for the week and the next week. And so they're building up this content so that it's easier and easier every time they pin. Or you can let a Pinterest manager like me take it off your plate if it's not something you want to do. But what it means to be active daily is to have at least one pin a day. Now, I have had a client who used to pin one pin a day every day through Tailwind, and she had great information and it was bringing in the traffic. Pinterest always has dips in the analytics, so you don't need to panic if there's a dip in analytics. But one thing that you can do to help that dip in analytics is to increase the number of pins that you put out. But being consistent means that you're doing it every day without fail. It doesn't mean you're online pinning every day. It means you're working once a week for about an hour, creating the pins, putting them into Tailwind, or you can use the Pinterest scheduler, but it is limited to the number of posts a day and the number of posts in the month that you can do. So check that out. But it just means that if you're going on vacation and you don't want to work for a week, then you double up. And instead of spending an hour a week, you spend 2 hours this week for a couple weeks leading up to your vacation. And then you can go on vacation and not have to worry about anything. So that's what consistency actually means. It means continuing to pin every single day through a marketing workflow once a week, which I love to help people figure out how to create that for themselves. All right. Question number 5. Can you pin too much? The answer is yes. Overpinning, like more than 30 pins a day, can actually potentially trigger Pinterest's spam filter because they want to make sure that there's not just this automated system that just throws a bunch of pins up there multiple times a day. The spam filter will get caught up to you if that's what you're doing. So you don't want to do that. But slow and steady wins the race. And that's true here on Pinterest also. So focus on intentional, high quality pins that go to high quality content, helpful content. That's all that Pinterest wants. Question 6, how much third-party content should you pin? This I like to say is OPP or other people's pins, right? If you're just starting out and you don't have any content of your own yet, work on creating that content. And then you can definitely share niche relevant third-party pins on your account. That's totally fine. It's not going to hurt anything. But really the goal is to gradually shift to pinning mostly your content so that your library of pins grow and you have a tremendous amount of traffic going to your website. I still pin other people's pins on occasion. And let me give you an example. So I really value certain educators out there on what they're teaching. And even though I focus on marketing workflow and Pinterest really heavily, I'm still going to be sharing information on blogging and things like that. And if I don't write that content, but I have some educators who I really trust and value their knowledge, I'm going to pin one of their pins maybe to my blogging board because I know that that's good quality content and information, and people can stumble upon that content from my account by following my account. That's going to help you grow. It's going to help that educator grow as well. But the key is, and the point is, that it's not a strategy for your Pinterest account. It is focusing on your Pinterest audience and delivering content that they would value, right? That's really the only time that I would pin other people's content. Question number 7, should I repin my own pins? Well, kinda. And current best practices? Not really. Instead, create a new fresh pin for that same content because Pinterest loves fresh content, fresh visuals, new images, new pin styles more. There is a caveat and it's very rare. But if I have a pin that's doing really well, it typically means that that's a trend at the moment, or it's a question a lot of people are asking. I would immediately want to create new pins for that content, and I do. But I will also test it on occasion because Pinterest changes all the time. And I will repin that one pin to a different board just to see if that pin also grows, because then it's going to tell me that it's really directly related to people who are searching for stuff on there. But that's rare. I almost never do it every month. It is a rare situation. And it's mostly because I'm testing Pinterest and I'm testing my account so that I can help you guys when something changes along the way, because I'll see it because I'm testing things, right? Question number 8. What time of day should I pin? Check your Google Analytics, see when your website traffic peaks, and schedule pins around those times. But honestly, Pinterest is global and evergreen. So posting a variety of times and a variety of different days will totally help also. I will also point out that if you use a tool like Tailwind will figure out the best times when your audience that's following you is online. One caveat to that is you do want to update that information. So every couple months, but for sure at around 6 months, I recreate a schedule for my clients and also for my own Pinterest account in Tailwind, because I want to get an updated schedule with different times that are resonating today, right? Because our audience changes, the things they search for, everything changes. So you want to make sure that you're going into Tailwind and updating that schedule to get the best times. It doesn't really stay the same. Every time I do this, every couple months, but for sure at 6 months, the times have changed. So that tells me that I need to make sure that I'm checking on that. Question number 9. Should I start pinning even if I don't have much content? The answer is yes. The only thing I hear as a complaint from my students and my clients is wishing that they started earlier. When they see the amount of traffic that's coming in, they just wish they started earlier so that their account could be even bigger. So start with what you have. Pinterest takes time to learn what your account is about. And the sooner that you start pinning, the sooner that the magic will happen. If you're just starting out and you just opened your website, create 5 blogs that are around the content that your business is going to be about. Don't worry about the length of the blog. It's more important to have the blog with good information. Now, if good information is a 1,500 word blog, cool. If your blog is like 3 paragraphs, oftentimes my photographers, they don't have a lot to talk about. They're sharing their photos, right? So even if it's just 3 or 4 paragraphs, that's okay too. The key is not the length of the blog. The key is the quality of it. So is it helpful to people? Does it answer the questions that your ideal client is struggling with? And get those 5 blogs up, get a freebie and an email account so that you can start adding people to your email account. Oftentimes they say that 20% of your sales are going to come from your email list. So make sure you have an email list too. Question number 10. Do I need a blog to be successful on Pinterest? The short answer is no, but the longer answer is it 100% helps way, way more. Blogs give you more links to create pins for, but you can also pin for your podcast. You can pin for your YouTube videos, for your freebies, or your products if you are a product seller. I mean, this is for service providers, but even service providers will offer digital products, right? So make sure that you have pins for all of those. No blog, no problem. But if you hate writing, maybe consider turning your podcast episodes or your YouTube videos into a blog, which is actually what I do. I take all the words I say from what I'm saying on these videos and I make a blog from them. So it is really important. And I will say that when you have a website, your potential buyer has a certain level of trust because you're a real person with your own blog on the internet. Yes, anybody can put one up, but it just gives you another. If they search for a website and you don't have one, that can give some hesitation and people might not end up wanting to buy. Question 11. What are monthly viewers? That's the little number that's on the top of your Pinterest account. If you have a business account that tells you the number of monthly viewers, that number equals the people who have seen your pins, both your own content and anything else that you maybe have pinned. It's an impression metrics. And honestly, it's kind of a vanity number. My goal for you guys is to focus on outbound clicks, which are the clicks that go to your website, pin clicks, which is the pin shows up on the feed and someone clicks on it. That's a pin click. And then the outbound click is them actually going directly to your site. And saves. Pinterest wants people to save your pins. So keep that in mind. Question 12. How many boards should I have? I really believe that you need to start with around, and again, I hate giving specific numbers because it changes all the time. But I always like to say to start with about 10 boards and aim for about 3 to 5 pins per content. And the reason for that is because then you can, through Tailwind, you could have a pin and you can pin it to a couple different boards. That's the purpose of having 3 to 5 boards per content category. And that means that those 10 boards you're going to cover. Now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to come up with 10 boards? Number one, consider what your blog categories are. That's a great indication of boards that you should choose. Obviously, you want to do research on Pinterest and the Pinterest Trends tool and all the things to find out more information. You should have a board with your business name. So I have a Jen Vazquez Media board, right? That's my business name. You absolutely want to have one of those boards because everything you pin can go to that board, right? It's your business. And then another board that I do recommend people have that have shown good results for service providers in particular is to have a board that says free, like in my situation, free Pinterest marketing resources. If people go to your account and they see a board that says free, they're probably going to go there first. And you want to make it your core thing that you teach or educate about to have that free. But I can also have a free resources board for photography and brand videos because that's also part of my agency, right? And also make sure that you add a description when you create a board. This is a little pet peeve of mine that I have. When you make a board, Pinterest makes you add a name and then that's it. And you're done. You have to actually go back to Pinterest, click on that board, click the 3 dots on the top and add a description. You don't want to forget the description because the description is the thing that's going to help that board get found and help those pins on that board get found. Question number 13. Do followers matter on Pinterest? The short answer is no, not really. The more followers that you have, the more people believe in what you're sharing, I guess. But 90% of people are never going to go to your account. They're going to go to the pin on the feed in their Pinterest account and then go to your website for that blog, that content that you're sharing. So it's not really that important, if I'm being honest. Pinterest is a search-based platform. So your pins can show up for people who don't even follow you. That's kind of the whole goal, right? But growing your following does not hurt you in any way. It's just not something that I would focus on in terms of your success. That's not going to tell your success. I, as an example, had a client who had 450,000 monthly views, a lot of people, but they only had 200 followers. So by that standard, you would think that they're not doing well because they only have 250 people following them, but they have 400 and something thousand people going to their website all the time, like each month. So don't worry about your followers. They will come. I would not worry about them. Question 14. Should I niche down my Pinterest account? Short answer is yes. The more focused your account is, the easier it is for Pinterest to know who to show your content to, right? Pinterest looks at your account as a whole to know who they should be sending your content out to. So if you have a bunch of boards on your Pinterest account that are baking sourdough and planning your photo session with your family, make sure that you secret those boards. You don't want Pinterest to consider those boards when sending out information, because then you're going to get people that aren't going to be interested in your content, right? I have a Pinterest account for my photography business, which was first, and I have a Pinterest account for my agency. We do branding and photography at my agency, but I like to keep them separate, because when people are looking for brand photos, they're not necessarily looking at agencies, and I don't want Pinterest to get confused. So start with one clear niche, and you can always expand later as you grow. Pinterest is very forgiving in that way. Question number 15. What is Pinterest SEO? Literally, Pinterest SEO is using keywords that your audience is searching for, placing them onto your profile in boards and pins and descriptions and on your website. It's the easiest secret sauce behind getting found. And it's basically the words that people are typing in that Pinterest search bar to find your content. And we need to know those words, which is why it's very, very important that the number one step on Pinterest isn't to make your account beautiful, but it's to do keyword research on Pinterest, finding out those keywords that go along with the business that you have. Pinterest SEO is super important. Question 16. Where do I use keywords? Well, the short answer is literally everywhere. It is your Pinterest profile description. It's the Pinterest name. It's in your board titles. It's in your board descriptions. It's in your pin titles. It's in your pin descriptions. Your website landing page, those keywords, you want them to match your blog posts. And even down to what you name that Pinterest pin graphic that you upload. So if you create a pin in Canva, you want to name it with a keyword of what that pin is all about. Everywhere on Pinterest is searchable. Even though the text overlay, the words that are on that pin graphic, Pinterest can read those. The algorithm can read them. So consider using keywords everywhere on Pinterest. Question 17. How do I find Pinterest keywords? That's a loaded question. I have some videos on here on how to help you with that, but you can use Pinterest's guided search bubbles. You can use the Pinterest platform in the search bar. You could use trends.pinterest.com, which is part of your Pinterest account. You can even use the ads as if you're creating an ad that they tell you what keywords to use in the ad. So then you don't have to make the ad. You can just grab those keywords. Pinterest is the only platform, in my opinion, that easily shares with you what's popular and what people are searching for every single day. So start typing your main topic into that search bar on Pinterest to see what autocomplete suggestion is, what that drop-down menu is. Click on a word within the menu and see what other words come up. You're going to find real-time search terms that your audience is using. And I always say to start a spreadsheet to build from there. I have a keyword builder you can get absolutely free at learn.jenvazquez.com/resources. Of course, I will go ahead and put that link down below. It's 100% free. Question 18, should I use hashtags on Pinterest? The short answer is no, not at this time. It used to be back in the day that hashtags, you would be able to click on them and they would pull up content within that search, right? Just like kind of on Instagram. And Pinterest doesn't do that anymore. They're not clickable. And Pinterest doesn't prioritize hashtags in search anymore. It is more important in the description of your pin to focus on your ideal client and telling a story or giving information on why they want to go to your content, what they're going to discover, how they're going to feel after they do that, what problems you're solving. And you want to write that in a human read paragraph. You don't want to be just listing words between commas. That's considered keyword stuffing, and it's not going to help you, and the algorithm is much smarter than that. Question 19. What are group boards and should I join them? Group boards are boards that are shared by multiple people. And they used to be like the big thing to get more reach, right? Because if my pin is on this group board with all these other people that are on a group board, more people are seeing that group board, right? The pins on it. And they used to be great for reach, but now I always recommend only joining super niche, relevant, active group boards with good SEO in the board description. So just because somebody invites you to a board doesn't mean you have to accept. It needs to be a board that you will actually pin to, and it needs to be a board where the other people on the group board are active. You want to skip spammy and catch all boards. And you want to, of course, avoid group boards where there's pins on there that you disagree with, right? You have to agree on all the people that are on the board, the type of content that they're delivering, because if you don't, then your content is linked in with their content. And that could be a bad look for your business if it's not a good look, right? Question 20. How many group boards should I join? There is no magic number. You want to be highly picky. It is always on Pinterest, always quality over quantity. My photography site has been on Pinterest since it was in beta in 2009. Even I only have like a few, and the main group boards that I have are for my photography clients, where they are creating a board to add their inspiration for me to use as inspiration in photographing them. Question 21. What size should my pins be? Pinterest recommends, and we always want to look to Pinterest's best practices for questions like this. They recommend a 2:3 ratio. And here are some examples of that. So a 2:3 ratio, here are some go-to sizes. 1,000 by 1,500 pixels, which in Canva most often will have that. You can use the 1,200 by 1,800 pixels or 2,000 by 3,000 pixels, but be careful because super long pins can tend to get cut off in the feed. People also are talking about like squares or YouTube sized, like that landscape. And there's two reasons why I don't necessarily recommend those. The square and the landscape images seem off on the Pinterest site. They can look dated. And more importantly, if you're looking at the feed, those pins disappear with all the longer pins on there, right? So you visually are missing out on people clicking on them. So I do recommend sticking to the 1,000 by 1,500 is the number that I recommend all the time. Question 22, where can I find images for my pins? I will tell you, your cell phone takes amazing photos. As long as you are near a window or where there's good light on your face, you can take a photo yourself. You could also join and pay for a stock image company. I don't recommend AI photos, and I don't recommend free photos like on Canva or free stock photos like on Unsplash as a sort of a general rule. And the reason for that is they're more common, right? I know that when you've looked on Pinterest, you'll see the same photo on there. You want to stand out from that. The more important question is not where to find images for your pins, it's what type of images for your pins. You want an image that displays what your content is about. So, if you are talking about a wedding, right, you want to use the images from the wedding that you photographed. Or if you're a wedding planner, you want to use the images with permission from the photographer who took the wedding photos at that wedding that you were a part of. If you are a coach and you're talking about Pinterest, you want pictures that have Pinterest in it, right? But also, part of Pinterest best practices is to use the image for the pin that's on the blog. So focus really a lot on that image that you put on the blog, because it's important for Google search and it's important for Pinterest that the image is clear and bright and stands out and signifies what you're talking about. That's way more important than where you find your images. And I have to add a pro tip from a brand photographer. If you are getting brand photos, consider images you can use for pins. You can have a picture like this and put a big old Pinterest circle in there. In fact, this might be my YouTube cover. You can have your brand photographer capture images that will help you to market your business. So definitely consider that. Question number 23, can I still grow organically on Pinterest? Absolutely. I have never paid for an ad on either of my Pinterest accounts. My focus is on organic growth for Pinterest. Pinterest ads can be successful, but you do need to have a long-term commitment financially to really make it worth the value. You just don't have to run ads to see results. Organic growth on Pinterest is 100% possible with a solid strategy and consistency, right? You got to be consistent with it. Question 24, how do I know if my pins are working? Check your Pinterest analytics and your Google analytics, and you'll know if it's working. I also have a Pinterest analyzer, which is a form that you can fill in all the numbers on there so that you can each month look at those numbers. You can't go back and look at individual pin analytics in the analytics on Pinterest if you go back more than 6 months. That's why I like to write down my Pinterest analytics each month, because I want to know if I'm in July right now. I want to know what my numbers were for last July, because if my numbers are higher than last July, yay. If they're lower than last July, maybe I need to start changing up my strategy or the number of times I've pinned or something else. You want to definitely look at those analytics that I've told you, right? Outbound clicks is the number one. Your saves, impressions, just to have that knowledge. Pin clicks, outbound clicks, and saves are the main ones, but I do like to put on their impressions and also followers, just so I can keep a running track of those analytics. Question 25, should I be using Tailwind? All right. It's no secret that I love Tailwind, but the reason why I love Tailwind is because I saved 5 hours per client when I went from manually pinning to Pinterest to pinning with Tailwind. You can add more pins in significantly less time. So if you struggle with consistency, Tailwind can save your sanity. It can save you a tremendous amount of time. In fact, when I say to people, you can actually do Pinterest marketing in an hour a week, I am referring to people who are using Tailwind to do so. It's Pinterest approved. It helps you to batch schedule, and it gives you some helpful insights beyond what Pinterest can give you to help you to analyze your growth. I hope that this cleared up some of your Pinterest marketing confusion for you. And if you want Pinterest traffic without the stress, definitely check out my Pinterest Strategy Club. It's super affordable. I'm live 3 times a month to help you with education and also any questions that you have. I'll drop the link below along with all the other links. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which Pinterest tip was shocking to you or that you loved. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you in the next video.